So the 90s was an interesting time in this part of the world. So there was a war going on at the start of the...
It was hard. It was hard. The finances were not good, you know. In war times, there's not much money around, and it was a little bit hard to get to some of the hardware. But there were always ways. Some duty-free shops actually sold the computers, and some young companies were selling stuff, you know, behind the bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something like that. So we get our hands on to the really cool stuff. I'm talking about still Amiga days. It wasn't easy, let's say, call it.
So you were buying black market PCs, basically?
I don't know if it's PC or, well, it wasn't black market, it was like...
grey market.
Grey market. It was almost legal.
Yeah.
Amiga was really beloved by us. It was an amazing machine with awesome games. Each game was pretty different and very creative. The design and the creativity was really blooming at those times. But it was very exciting times.
Do you think the fact that you had to teach yourselves and there were no resources available to you, has that made Croteam what it is, in a sense, in the terms of you can do it all yourselves?
Well, yes. At that time we didn't have any money. It's not that you get some, you know, like finance and then you start a project. You actually start a project. The finance were moms and dads. So basically what we learned is that we need to do pretty much everything by ourselves.
Basically there were no schools, there were no YouTube tutorials, there was basically nothing. I just got that editor, I installed it in my PC at my home, and I started experimenting with it.
So that actually stemmed from the football glory to Serious Sam a couple of years later. So we decided there was no way that we could license the engine, not to nearly that kind of money. But we had tools, we had skills, so just say, okay, let's give it a go.
Is it true that you lost people sometimes from your team to the draft, the military draft?
Of course we had a military draft. I also was drafted into military, but so I was away for like a year, something like that. So that's how long you need to be in the army. When there was 6 of us, 7 of us, it was really, when you lose 1 or 2, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
For a year, and you try to compile a game together. It's a big deal.
Tell me about your hunt for a publisher, though, because I don't think that went as well as you were hoping.
No, it was really hard time for us because our parents were paying for what we are doing, you know, renting apartment, computers, and thanks mom, thanks dad, and to everyone who supported us and helped us to be here.
Who did you pitch Serious Sam to?
We pitched it to maybe something like 10 publishers or something, and we got just 2 responses, and both were negative. Then we decided to create a vertical slice, small but polished, and then we put it out onto the internet, and then everything exploded. You know, people, community actually forced, or you know, like forced publishers to get in contact with us. That's how we started.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was actually the weight of the community that.
So that's why we, for the whole life of Croteam, actually, we are like in depth. We owe to our community, and that we will never forget that.
So it's all about you players.
Yeah.
It's all for you.
We are here because of you guys.
Who showed interest when you finally did your vertical slice demo and the community was starting to bubble?
Publisher, that was actually a group of developers. It was called Gathering of Developers. That's, yeah, from those times.
Okay. So this was Mike Wilson's
I think so.
thing at the time,
Miller
and Harry.
Back then it was something special. It was revolutionary what the guys did.
Their whole thing was about putting the power in the hands of the creators.
Yeah. Also, the publishers had the fair cut there, you know, but back in days, it wasn't like that. You know, publishers were too greedy, in my opinion, and then the guys changed a little bit the landscape of the thing. That was pretty revolutionary, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's the spirit that has lived on in Devolver, I guess.
Yeah, you can see that.
Doom appeared early 90s, you went, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So what was the process from that point to Sam?
It took us like 5 years because of all the technology changes, and we needed to make ourselves our own engine to be able to run 3D games, because we were not able to buy like a real engine or something. It was so crazy expensive.
Too expensive.
It was unbelievable. It was half of Croatian national income probably.
So in fact, when you were going through this period post-Doom inspiration, you were basically building your tech.
Yep. Well, at the same time, we explored the environments and gameplay abilities and where we want to go with color scheme, with everything, with sounds, with music and everything. But basically, the technology was majority of what we actually was missing from us.
What new stuff have you shoved in there that's going to show its face in Serious Sam 4?
The obvious one is, of course, the new terrain engine. It's great looking. We still need to do some optimization regarding the memory footprint and the area of performance, but it looks great. The other one is behind the scenes, which is also huge. The new shader system and shader editor, that actually we put all the creativity side in the artists, so they can actually design their own materials, all their shaders. I'm the arch enemy of the artists and non-designers, because I'm the one who's saying about the polygon budget and texture budget and everything.
Yeah.
So this is like a two-edged sword, you know. You can give the creativity side, but you have to put this in the context that it should actually run on a decent PC.
Is it your fault that Dean is constantly trying to find new ways to create more headroom in the system, and that you keep filling up with your gameplay ideas and enemies?
The gameplay is always pushing the envelope of what technology have to do and what engine has to bear to allow such possibility.
Yeah, so Dean and his team are like, we've optimized it, we've got this. Okay, we can fill that up. Give us 5 minutes, we'll use all of that.
And that's basically exactly what happens, yeah.
Tell me about the Legion system.
It's a really nice trick that allows you to have really thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of enemies on screen. Originally, we were like hoping for like 10,000 enemies, and now we hit order of magnitude more.
Okay.
So
Sam can still pleasantly surprise you.
Yeah.
If we go to what Serious Sam 4 is all about, how have you evolved your 20-year-old formula?
I don't think that it needs to be evolved much. I think that it works still today, although it needs shine and polish, right? So we try to do that. For me, the most important thing that it is really, the Serious Sam game. That's the key, right? You don't have to mix them with the other games. So this is a really, proper Serious Sam game. That's the key.
Secret formula is combination of dancing with enemies and chess playing, Contrary to the evolution of first-person shooter, when programmers wanted to increase complexity of the AI, we are keeping their intelligence quite simple because we want predictability. When you are on the field, surrounded by 20, 50 enemy characters, you can guess what's their movement for their attacks. And that simplicity allows you to handle so much enemies.
Yeah.
The core of the Croteam Serious Sam franchises is dancing with enemies and projectiles. As you repeat your fights again and again and again, you're getting better, and something that was hurting you, now you're hurting them. And that's the simplest beauty formula that actually we really enjoy.
What I love is you've got this brilliant irony that Serious Sam is a game that really doesn't take itself very seriously.
I know, yeah. So we enjoy making games. We'll also enjoy playing them. And then I believe that people will also enjoy playing them. That's like if you're a rock band musician, right? If you don't enjoy it while you're playing, I don't think that people will hear your music. That's exactly the same thing.
How much attention do you pay to what the fans are asking you for?
I think actually that over the time they influenced our game quite a bit. So we respect them immensely. I cannot describe that with better words. First of all, enjoyment and passion that they gave us through their comments, and that's just the fuel that we need to enjoy and make this worthwhile, right? When you know that people are enjoying what you are doing, that's the driving fuel for everybody here. So, okay, we want to play this game, but when you know that you have people that really enjoy that too, that's everything makes sense then.
We need to say something to the fans to thank them for waiting so patiently.
I have to say something smart. First of all, apologies for taking so long.
Well, would Sam apologise?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
He's a polite guy.
Okay, he's got manners.
I don't think that we will repeat this in the future. And I hope that SAM4 will be worthwhile the wait, that you will enjoy, and please support us as always, and we are here for you. So you make everything, all the sense in the world, and everything starts and begins with our fans.
Remember, Croteam is your team.
Perfect timing.
This is Damian. He is the musical maestro behind all the sounds in Sam since the dawn of Sam.
Roman was working on sounds in the early days, before I came to the Croteam. So
when did you join?
1999.
Oh, so that was before Sam 1 then?
That was before Sam 1, yeah.
20 years of Sam music.
Actually,
right
yeah,
here.
yeah. Embodied in the person.
Yeah. Well, last time we spoke about your music in games, you told me that making the music for Talos was challenging.
It was, yeah.
So what was it like after doing that, coming back to Sam?
All my life I've been listening to hard rock, heavy metal, and on Talos I missed guitars, man. Now I can fulfill all those dreams I had working on Talos, like just wait for Serious Sam.
Have you brought any tracks from the previous Sams into 4?
Well, that sort of became our trademark. Bring the old stuff and improve it. So yeah, there will be, not gonna say it, but it's gonna be a fan favorite song from Second Encounter. Then there will be the Hero remake, actually being done by one great guitarist, very famous one. So
really?
So it's the Nine Inch Nails, Robin Fink. He did the cover of Hero song.
Wow.
So and it sounds amazing.
So what's brand new musically in 4 then?
It's drums.
Drums.
Yeah.
This is what you missed most with Talos, right?
Yeah. So it's all just a layer of very heavy pounding rhythmical drums, a bit like Hollywood blockbuster. probably the pioneers of the dynamic music system. So what we did back at Serious M, the first encounter, is we had a song that was playing while nothing was going on. We call that the peace music. And then we had the combat music whenever enemies came around. And when there were really a lot of enemies or in some specific situations, we played the war music, which is like the heaviest, really most intense music. I still think nothing would be different if we release the game using this system. So I think the old fans would love it, and with the new tunes I did, I think this will work, but we are trying something new. I'm actually designing a bit different dynamic music system that consists of chunks of shorter loops that react to actually what's player doing on the screen. It will create the music that will be actually more like a movie score.
How did you even start on a journey to making games?
The thing was that in our classroom, Roman and myself, we had a guy whose brother actually made the first game out of these areas, out of Croatia. We heard that he made some money, and then we, added two and two together. What if we could make a living out of making games? That would be just unbelievable. That's what we want, right? And that was a dream, and we are chasing it up today and far in the future.
Ever since?
Ever since.
So the name Serious Sam, who came up with it?
Actually, Roman came up with the name. Yeah, and I was actually in the military, right? And I actually heard over the phone, the guys called me and they decided that the game will be called Serious M.
What was your reaction?
I was like, okay.
I was like, dude, what? No, we are not doing Serious Sam. We are doing the game that actually had a name before that.
What was the name before Serious Sam?
In the Flesh.
In the Flesh?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
called In the Flesh, and it had a super great story that we were working on. One of the influencers at that time was definitely Half-Life. I mean, he was the one who first realized that we don't have this kind of team like Valve, even at that time. So let's just put something more simpler, just concentrate on the gameplay. As we progressed into that direction, it turns out to be much better and better. Much better than I was actually could anticipate,
Started to make sense.
Yeah.
Were you involved in the design of Sam in the early days?
The Sam as it is today was designed by Tomislav Pongrac. Sam as it looks today was actually a placeholder.
Really?
Yeah, so we should have something. We tell Tomislav, just design something, then we move on to better looking Sam. Didn't went really, really well. How should I put it? The community just, in the mild words, they were not very pleased with the result.
What, with the new one?
The new one. So we just say, okay, scrap that one, go back with the original one and just improve the, geometry and the looks,
I know you've been busy in the last 9 years, but that's a long time to make people wait.
Apologies, guys.
Do you feel bad about that? Or?
Yes. I hope that we will make it worthwhile with the Sam 4. And this is something that had actually 3 different reasons why it didn't happen. The reason number 1 was Taos Principle. That happened by accident probably. We started working on key game mechanics and puzzles or reasons how to unlock the stuff in Serious Sam 4. We created a set of test levels. When we played those levels, they were really fun, but they were not for Sam. So we decided to make a game, and that became Taos Principle. So the big distraction number 2 was VR. It took us like a storm, right? Somehow the VR was very, very exciting possibilities for VR.
Shiny new toys.
Shiny new toys, geeks, kids playing, and it took us by storm. And then the third thing was the technology, because we needed to push hard to invest a lot into upgrading the technology to the standards that are needed today.
The Talos gameplay was born out of ideas that were originally for SAM 4.
Yes.
Has the Talos principle then given you things that you've brought back into SAM 4?
After the experience with Talos principles, when we had proper writers that made a really amazing story for Talos principle, I think people will be surprised by sudden, really noticeable increase in quality of story writing, dialogues and everything in SAM 4.
So this means we're going to learn a bit more of the lore of Sam's universe and the events and the characters within it, maybe?
Yes, for sure. People who just want action don't need to be afraid of it, because we learn with Talos principle to put a story that is not in player's face. So
Yeah, it's there if you want it.
I know it is a long time for our fans to wait for the new Serious Sam game, but it also allows us to properly think and rethink many of the features and to think about cool stuff that we could add to Serious Sam 4.